In this clip, an experienced meditator demonstrates the ability to evoke very high energy states at will, known in Buddhist jhāna traditions as Pīti. The intensity during this practice often causes the body to shake or vibrate, or even jump, sometimes giving the appearance of an epilepsy seizure, though this is a very different experience. The subject is fully aware, inwardly composed, and when experienced is able to arouse and end the state at will, with no disturbance or after effects. In the old meditation traditions, the purpose was to master how to arouse and tranquilize mental and physical energy, but more importantly to use the technique to deepen the experience of jhāna. The meditator has just finished a 20-minute practice and is ready to demonstrate this technique. The first signs are these spike waves at the back of the head, followed by 3 short episodes of shaking lasting 1/2 to 1 second. In epilepsy jargon, these precursors will be described as clonic effects of jerking or shaking. They are followed a few seconds later by more spike waves at the back of the head, soon followed by the main event. To see the whole episode, I now compress the timescale to 7.5 mm per second. And again change the timescale, but also zoom in to see the heart of this main event more clearly. This is the expanded view of the heart of the main episode. The strongest signal here is from electrode T6, located above the right temporal lobe, which I can isolate, showing what appears to be an almost perfect sinusoidal rhythm. Also, changing the intensity scale to 500 microvolts per centimetre, we can see the almost unbelievably high voltage level of the strongest peak at 1275 seconds, spread across the whole height of the display. This peak is between 5000 to 6000 microvolts peak to trough, 200 times the normal non-meditating levels, which is a 40,000 times increase in power, which is voltage squared. If I calculate the spectra for this whole yellow highlighted segment, you will be able to see the details more clearly. These spectra plots were computed earlier to save time, and they show intensity against frequency at each point across the head. The plot at the temporal site T6, which we just looked at, shows several peaks which look likely to be harmonics. And they can also be seen at the back of the head, although weaker. The base frequency, when analysed more fully, is 5.62 cycles per second, 5.62 Hz. The only region in the brain that can stimulate activity like this is the thalamus, which apparently must be triggered into this mode during this controlled but extreme excitation. I'm not aware of any other published work where harmonics such as these have been observed, and in this case they may be relevant to understanding the deeper causes of epileptic instability. If I change to a 3D view, the intensity distributions across the head look like this, showing the main focus at the T6 electrode. The T6 electrode is directly above the right temporal lobe of the brain, which is a very common site for epilepsy to develop. But as I said earlier, this is not epilepsy. Therefore, it's an interesting question, whether this technique to deliberately arouse energy which stimulates these temporal regions, energy which is then calmed back down, might shed light on how these areas of the brain work, and whether any aspects of this training might be adapted to help epilepsy sufferers mitigate the frequency of their seizures. Looking at these traces around the back of the head, we can see evidence of these harmonics directly. If we count the number of the strong peaks in a 1-second interval, there are just over 11 peaks, which corresponds to double the base frequency 5.62 cycles per second, mentioned above from the spectra, and double the base frequency is its second harmonic, 11.23 Hz. This is described in more detail in the book, alongside figure 39 in chapter 12, which is reproduced here. Figure 39 shows, lower right, the spectra and harmonics for this enlarged section. It shows that it's the occipital spike waves at the back of the head that we mentioned earlier that start before the main event and then persist throughout it and also for a while after, that these correspond to the base frequency 5.62 cycles per second, and that the slower second harmonic at 11.23 Hz is located in the right temporal lobe, which presumably is triggered into this harmonic mode when the main event develops. It will be for epilepsy specialists to work out the significance of this activity. The final feature I want to show you, not mentioned in the book, is an intriguing glimpse within the non-seizure of a background connection to the jhāna state. I use the term non-seizure deliberately to stress that this is not epilepsy. The left-hand map corresponds to the start of the yellow highlighted segment, and as I move the cursor across this segment, the right-hand map follows changes in intensity, alternating between excitation and inhibition, yellow to cyan colour. But from here, at the centre of the right-hand map, a red hotspot can be seen fluctuating in the background at the crown of the head. This is the same crown of head location which features strongly in discussions of the jhānas in the book, as well as in clip 2, interpreted as a sign of the higher jhānas. Seeing it in the midst of this non-seizure is, I believe, a sign of the important onlooking equanimity this meditator is able to sustain as a result of his experience in practicing jhāna, even while experience this extremely high energy state. I believe this very likely is the factor which allows this practice to be performed safely and to some degree with equanimity.